pit crew. So sadly, the issue I'm having and what we need to talk about revolves around oil issues. So to be honest with you guys, the oil leak in the back never stopped, but it slowed down enough to where I felt safe with it. I felt safe that I could leave it there and just check the oil once a week or so until I was ready to upgrade the cam and torque converter and all that stuff. But after I filmed the last video of me going out driving, I brought the car in here, let it cool down, and I noticed that the front is now leaking too. So before you guys jump into thinking I'm doing something wrong or I've done something I shouldn't have done or whatever, hear me out and let me explain the issue. So I did some reviews, or I did some digging deeper on the oil pan that I'm running. This is a $40 Dorman oil pan. I got it off Amazon Prime, had I think like 4.5 out of 5 stars, only a few bad reviews, but recently after I bought this oil pan, someone threw up a review of it and they were having the same issue, and what he was saying makes sense, and so I'm going to explain to you guys kind of what he was saying happened. So you have, here's the rear main dip. You know, this goes over the rear main cap. You have your gasket that goes in between there, and supposedly on his, he measured his. I don't have a way to measure mine yet because the dormant one's still in there, but basically this hump or a divot, whatever you want to call it, was 1/4 inch too wide, and his was wreaking like a rear main leak. You know, and I've replaced my rear main seal 3-4 different times. I've tried over like 4 or 5 different oil pan gaskets. I've tried 1-pieces. I've tried the 4-piece gaskets. I've done layers of RTV on, and then the gasket, and then another layer of RTV. I've tried just the 4 corners. I've tried it all. I've tried doing a little bit under the rear main cap itself, because there's a little divot there where some could potentially leak out, and some people have issues on that with these older small blocks. And so I've tried literally everything. You know, some people recommended, or some people were having an issue with when they were running a 1-piece gasket, the bolts were too short and they weren't allowing it to get torqued down enough. So I switched to studs. So I'm running all studs on there now, and that still didn't fix it. I have tried everything, and sadly, I spent more money trying to make this oil pan work than if I were to just buy a different oil pan from the get-go. All right, pit crew, so I got the lights installed over here. I cleaned up the garage just a little bit, not a whole lot. Got some of the trash out, some of the boxes from the unboxings I've done. Anyway, it's a lot more open over here while still having a bunch of light, so that's really awesome. And I now have light over on this side of the garage. It's something I have not had, so I've never filmed from that part of the garage. Anyways, if you guys have ever heard of or watched Young Chevy Truck, I recommend going to watch him if you haven't. He's got like an 85 C10, and he pulled his engine oil pan without pulling the engine out. Now the issue, you know, I've tried doing this before, but my flywheel kept getting in the way and I couldn't drop the oil pan low enough, and it just kept hitting the flywheel. And if you Google it, everyone says you cannot pull or drop the oil pan without pulling the engine. But in his video, he did it by simply putting the engine on top dead center, because supposedly, I guess is what happens, is the front of the oil pan hits the crankshaft and it stops you from pulling it where you're dropping it down. So here's what I think I'm going to go for. I'm going to try that because it's better. In my opinion, it'll be easier to fail at that, and because either which way it's work I have to do. Either which way I have to pull all the front accessories off, all this stuff. So no matter what I have to do, I have to do that. So I'm going to give this a go. I just have to pull off the front accessories so that way I can get everything off. But then after that, I'll be trying to see if I can't drop this. I'm going to go ahead and put on some jack stands so that way everything's a little bit higher, easier for me to get to. Don't have to bend over as far. We're going to see if we can do this. I don't know. A lot of people say it's not possible. And I know an 85 C10 frame is probably super far off and not the same, anywhere near the same as the Nova subframe. But again, it's worth a shot. So I'm gonna give this a go, and I'll keep you guys updated on the process as I go. All right, the car is jacked up, and it's a lot higher. I don't know if you guys can see this on camera, but it's a lot higher. I think step one is just gonna be pulling all these accessories, so that way I can easily pull the radiator, the lower radiator hose off, and hopefully I don't lose too much fluid. I mean, it's not that big of a deal if I do, but just trying to think here. I think it's just front accessories is all that needs to come off here. I'll have to get it on top dead center and then pull the balancer off which kind of sucks. A little bit of a hassle to do. Or I might be able to leave it on there and just pull the timing cover, kind of get it loose and off the oil pan, maybe. I'll explain why. So I'll show you guys why the timing cover can't talk. I'll explain why the timing cover has to come off in a few minutes, or when it's off. Essentially, there's a lip. So here's the front of the engine, and the timing cover has a lip that sits on the back and front of this, and it sits down and it smushes the gasket that goes between there. I don't have a way to give you guys a visual representation of the lip itself, but yeah, so that's why it's gonna come off. So yeah, we're gonna, I guess, just go at this and see what can happen. I'm gonna turn the radio on, jam out to some music while I try to attempt to do this and not make a mess. All right, pit crew, so let me flip around and show you guys where I'm at here. Okay, so alternator's out. I went ahead and did that because it connects to the water pump, and it was just easier just to go ahead and give me more space. I could have just let it hang there, but went ahead and pulled it out. Power steering pump is disconnected from the water pump. Belts are all off, of course. Oil is draining. I'm trying to decide if I'm better off just to take out the 4 bolts for the water pump and kind of let it dangle there, rather than disconnect the lower radiator hose and the heater core hose. It sucks because I don't want to. I'm more or less just trying to do this quick and without a huge mess, and I'm not trying to necessarily shortcut stuff. I'm just trying to be as efficient as possible and not make a huge mess. Alright, so sometimes I overthink things, and I'm not the brightest person. If you guys know me personally, you would know that I do tend to overthink things anyway, and on top of it, I'm just a little bit frustrated, so it caused me to overthink. So I explained a little while ago how the timing cover locks onto the oil pan, but here's my thought process now. Let me show you where I'm at. My thought process is here. So I have all this off, and since it's got a lip that sits over both front and back of the oil pan, my thought process is if I drop the pan straight down first without trying to go at any weird angles, I might be able to avoid dropping the timing cover. Now that means the only extra step I did was take the water pump off. Everything else still had to be done. But that makes sense to me to be able to do. All that's left is to get underneath the car, drop the starter because it blocks some of the bolts and the pan would hit it on the way down. And then I'll probably, in order to take the pan off, I'll probably have to end up dropping the studs that I have in there on, because I think they're like 2.5-inch studs, which will make it, I believe they might end up getting in the way of being able to drop the pan down at an angle. I have no clue. I really have no clue whatsoever. I need to get all these catch cans out from underneath. I have 3 of them under there. I need to get them out from underneath so I can get under there. But yeah, so that's where I am at for now. I have no clue how this is going to go, so yet again, wish me luck. All right, it has been a heck of a time. It hasn't been overly difficult. It's just putting those studs in there was not the smartest thing I've ever done. Maybe if I had studs with like Allen heads or something on them, but that was not the case. That was very difficult. It was a lot easier to do when the engine was out. It did not work. I should have known. I didn't have high hopes for it, but yeah. So is what I'm going to do. So it's Thursday today. Monday, or if I get a chance to, with homework and everything, if I get a chance, is what I'm going to try to do is disconnect the exhaust and drive shaft, and then probably the cross member, and then that should allow, and then I'll take the carburetor off, put the lift plate on there, and see if I can't lift the engine up just a little bit. But in doing so, I will have to take the fuel pump off, and that way I can get the engine mounts out. I hate taking that thing off. It is a pain in the butt to put back on. I always struggle with it. It's just one of those, it's a tight area to work in. But for now, that is, I guess, going to be the game plan, because that didn't give me any room whatsoever, and that was a complete waste of time. But, you know, I tried. And so that's all that matters. You learn. I just knew it wasn't going to work. All right. So I'll finish this video probably like Monday or something. I don't know how we do it all, but when I come back out here, I'll turn the GoPro back on. I will see you guys in a few days. So I really appreciate these lights now, because I took one off the wall super easily and threw it under there so you guys could see. So we're gonna crawl under there real quick and see what we're dealing with. Oh, it is a little bit of a mess, so I apologize.
Okay, so right here is what we're dealing with. The fact that I believe this is would be like the K member, the subframe anyway. The subframe is blocking us from getting it down low enough and missing the flywheel. So yeah, that's the issue at hand. So the goal here is going to be to lift, get the engine to where I can just lift it just a little bit and swap this out. I don't know how difficult this will be. I do know I do need to run inside whenever I'm ready and grab a Ziploc bag, because I'll have to zip tie that over the tail end of the transmission. So I guess the output, whatever you want to call it, the tail end of the transmission, so that way I can catch all the fluid so I don't have to make a bigger mess. So yeah, so that's the issue at hand. There's not enough clearance there, and so we're gonna see if we can't make some clearance.
Alright guys, so it's kind of snowing / sleeting out, so I apologize. I know you guys can hear that in here sometimes, so I apologize for that. But I did go ahead and cut these boxes open, so I didn't have to show them with that on camera. But to start off, to give you guys a quick rundown, I used the Fram HP4 oil filter. Now again, I know Fram is not the best out there, and a lot of people hate it, but it is the only oil filter I have found that works with this oil filter after I'm running. It is a pain in the butt to get off. I will just say that, and I'm looking for swap setups because I hate this. It takes me at least 30 minutes and a propane torch to get it off the engine. Anyways, I run the Riesland ZDDP zinc additive. I don't have a preference here. It works. This is not what I use to break the car in with, but it is what I've been adding to my oil. It's like $6. Then Oil Rise, this time I'm going to be running the Chevron 1540 diesel oil. Now, there's a lot to take in consideration before you run your oil. You got clearances to worry about, your thickness in general, where you're at. For me, I'm going to be taking into consideration that this is a little bit of a thicker oil, but so I will be letting the car warm up properly before I run it or anything like that. But also, diesel oil has higher zinc levels in it versus your gas motor oil. Gas motor oil has more detergent in it for the newer vehicles. It keeps the cam flow cleaner. But these older engines, they need higher zinc levels. But I'm not running for the zinc whatsoever, since I'm still adding the zinc additive. I needed the thickness of it. And they do sell diesel 1040, stuff like that, 1030. But this is what I was looking for. I guess we'll go on to the oil pan. So I know what this looks like. I'm not going to be surprised by it. But again, I ordered it, so I know exactly what it looks like. So here's the oil pan. Cool. So we have 2 stickers, so that's really cool. Again, I'll have a link down to this one down below. It should be everything. Yeah. Okay. So this is a Milodon. I'm not sure the part number off the top of my head. I did not memorize it. I think it's got like a 3 or a 7 in it. Okay, so right off the bat, this looks like a stock Chevy oil pan. I do think Milodon has the Street Strip package oil pan for like $180. This one was about $130. So right now I just thought, this is still going to be better, hopefully, than what is on there. Hopefully this doesn't leak. So if it doesn't leak, it's still going to be better than what's on there, and it's still going to be an upgrade in my opinion. This is just, I believe, a 5-quart oil pan. Alright, and this is the Fel-Pro gasket for it. I believe this oil pan takes the thicker front lip. It is a one-piece. This is about $30 or so. They're pretty pricey, but they are a lifesaver. They come with everything you need for it, literally. Yeah, okay, so they come with pan corner washers, your pan rail washers. They come with everything. They come with the bolts. They even come with these guides for each corner. So that's going to be really cool. I might actually have to end up using these, since I'm going to try to put it on the car with the engine still in there. So that's what this comes with, and that's what we're dealing with here. I believe this is everything I was waiting on. So I guess we're just going to go for it. Just jump into it. All right, pit crew, let me show you guys where we're at. So the oil pan, if you guys can see that, is on. That was a pain in the butt. Look at this. Look how I am literally on top of my fan. That was a pain in the butt. Also, look at this. Just enough room. Did not pull the hood. So I have the 4 corner bolts of the pan on there. I think I just need to go through and tighten them, actually, and then I will be good to go. And then I need to go ahead and lower the engine, it is going to be very scary. I did make a mess. I do have,
This might be kind of hard to see. Yeah, you guys can't really see. But right here, that is a Ziploc bag full of transmission fluid. And it has started to drip everywhere. So I'm going to try to work decently fast. I do have the old oil pan here off. And then I had the, not the new one, but the original off the small block. And I'm going to show you guys kind of what, maybe compare and see, make sure that was the issue. So I'm going to work on this before anything bad goes wrong and it falls or anything like that. And then I'll update you guys. All right, pit crew, I'm really close to being done here. Water pump is officially all the way on there, and I was getting ready to install the fuel pump, and I wanted to show you guys something. So I struggle with putting the fuel pump on here, and there's other applications I use this for, like valve covers and stuff like that. If you guys ever have to put a gasket on something and you have to turn it like upside down or in a weird angle and the gasket won't stay on, put a little bit of weather stripping glue on there, and as you can see, I'm holding it like whatever angle you want, and it won't come off. It takes less than 5 minutes for it to dry. I'll show you real quick. It's less than $5 also to buy. Literally black super weather strip adhesive made by 3M. They sell bigger ones, which I had a bigger packet and it lasted me forever and I loved it, and I ran out and I just went and picked that up from O'Reilly's. I think Walmart might even sell it, but guys, it will save you so much struggle. It's not bad for the gasket, it's not bad for whatever you're putting on there. It's an old school trick if you guys are, if you needed something like that, you know, I just wanted to let you guys know about that. But yeah, you can literally, I can hold this in whatever angle I want and it's glued in there. I'm sure you could probably do the same with super glue, but sometimes that takes a little bit longer to use. This stuff literally, or to dry, this stuff takes less than 5 minutes to dry. Just put it on there, it's already dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going at this and see what I can't get done. All right, everyone, literally all I have left, I believe at this point, is just the carb and slipping on like my upper radiator hose here, but that's it. And while we're on the topic of life hacks, or working on your car hacks, whatever you can call them, a lot of times you hear stories about people dropping bolts down the intake manifold. Get yourself one of these lift plates. Yes, I do use my lift plate to lift the engine, of course, and that's why I have it. But it also doubles as you bolt it down, and as I leave this all the way on there until I have every bolt in place and ready to go, so that way I don't have to worry about any of the bolts or any of the carburetor studs or anything like that falling down the intake. So keep that in mind. Even if I'm just taking the carburetor off to work on it, like when I was tuning and stuff, I always slip that on there, and that way I didn't have to worry about leaving it open, didn't have to put paper towels or sacks or anything down there. I didn't have to worry about that. So get yourself a lift plate. This one was 15 bucks off Amazon. Just get yourself the lift plate. You won't regret it, I promise. Okay guys, I am a nervous freaking wreck. I was just cranking on it, just trying to get it to start. I think I'm having some issues with fuel because it's old fuel at this point, over a month old. Anyway, I heard this loud clank like I've never heard before, and I dropped to the ground. Like I dropped down on my knee. I was freaking out. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But I figured out what it is. Let me crawl underneath real quick and show you guys. right here, that was the loud bang. That huge crack. So luckily, can't talk. Luckily, I got a lifetime warranty on my starter through O'Reilly's. So the only hassle here is just going to be taking it off and driving 20 minutes to get a new starter. So yeah, I'll get that done and taken care of, and then I'll update you guys. All right, guys. So it is running. No oil leaks. Well, I'll talk to you guys about it in a second, but I'm just going to give you kind of a walk around real quick and just kind of show you. There's a few things we got to talk about, but we'll worry about that later. She sounds super healthy. So, like I said, there's a few things to talk about, but I just want to let you guys know I believe we are good to go. I'm not going to jinx myself like I did last time, but at this point we're good to go. There's one more thing I got to order for it, but it's not an end of the world thing. So I'm going to shut this off and kind of get resituated, and then I'll turn the GoPro back on and update you guys. Alright, pit crew, so real quick, as I always like to do, I figured I'd show you guys. The Alloy Works fans are running right now, even though the engine is shut off, but I'm going to go ahead and turn them off so I can talk. It won't be an end of the world type of thing. Okay, so it did leak oil at first, and that is why just a second ago in the last clip you guys saw, I was not super excited. My anxieties were going a little bit because of it,
I'm sure you guys know how it goes with project stuff. Anyways, so is what happened is I started it up. It ran just fine. Everything went fine. I can't say that enough. Everything was fine. And then it started throwing oil, like quite a bit. And so I freaked out. I shut it off and I freaked out a little bit. And I went and did some research. And as you guys saw, the oil pan was definitely an issue. As you guys, like I showed you guys, it lined up. And don't give me crap about an oil pan gasket, because the same oil pan gasket that is in the now is the one that is one of the ones I ran with this oil pan. But it started leaking, and so I went and did a little bit of Googling and calming down a little bit, and I found out, I came to the idea maybe it was the PCV. So the original in 62, I think until 68, 327s and 283s and stuff like that ran something called a road draft tube. And is what that means is literally your PCV system was just this tube that was under the intake manifold and came out back by the distributor, and it would just dump all your gases and any blow-by onto the road, hence road draft. So that's what they ran. They never had any spot to suck fresh air in. It only got rid of excess gases. And then I got this, and I put the aftermarket heads on there, and I wanted to be as kind of eco-friendly as possible, as well as also as efficient for the engine, and I put a PCV system in there. The carb had the vacuum port on it, and I have realized now that that is the issue. It does not work with this. Don't get me wrong, there is probably a PCV valve out there somewhere that will allow you to push enough air for this, but I think between the higher compression, I'm probably running 11 to 1, 10.5 to 1 somewhere, so I think the higher compression, just it being a mild built engine, stuff like that, just mixed with it all, I think it was just building up too much pressure. So I pulled the PCV valve out and the breather cap and just let it free, and I do have baffles under the valve covers as well, so it wasn't spewing oil out everywhere. And I clogged my PCV hose, that way it wasn't pulling vacuum and causing rough idle or anything like that. So, and it stopped leaking instantly. There's no leak whatsoever at this point. So I think a mixture of the oil pan, because with this old oil pan, it would leak at idle as well as driving. So I think it was easily finding a way out. And it was just, I think that mixing with the PCV valve, because it was not leaking at idle with this oil pan. So anyway, so it is now breathing as much as it needs to. Tonight I'm going to go ahead and order some breather caps, whatever you can call them, some breathers. That way it can just blow the air out and it will at least be filtered. And before you guys worry about sludge building up in there, because I'm not running a PCV system, I'm going to probably look into finding a good engine oil flush kind of thing for each oil change. That way I can keep all that slush out. Excuse me. But anyway, that fixed it. So obviously I was not moving enough air, but this is finally fixed for now. I'm going to not jinx myself. The next things for the channel are, one, the car needs to go back and have some touch-up work done with the paint. It needs to be buffed again, which I do have, as you guys saw by my Instagram, I do have a new radiator for Chandler, the person or the guy who painted my car for me. So look forward to that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else coming up. I know I have a lot planned, guys. This place is a disaster, as you guys can tell. As well, as much as I like to stay as organized as possible, when it comes to being as excited I have been, it's been hard to stay organized. So yeah, so that's what's going on, guys. But so far everything's good. I even shut the car off, let it idle for a little while, and there's no drips. I shut it off. I shut it off and just let it sit, and there's no drips. Still, right now, I don't see any drips on the cardboard, so everything is going better for once. So I think we might have a win here, guys. It's been over a week of filming this video, so I'm gonna stop talking in a second anyway. Be sure to check out the merch I have, guys. The more you guys buy, the more it helps out the channel. I have the prices. I only make $2-3 for each thing, so it's not like I'm trying to make thousands of dollars off you guys. The more you guys invest in me, and that sounds bad to say, I feel like I shouldn't say that, but that's the reality. The more you guys invest into it, the more I'm able to turn around and put into the channel, and the more confident I feel about this whole journey. Because, whenever I don't have any results, I feel like, oh, no one cares. But the thing is, I know you guys care. So help me out. Go grab yourself a t-shirt. I have cheap phone cases as well. I have all sorts of stuff. Just go check it out. It's not all based around my channel. Some of it's just really cool car merchandise. So just go check it out. And be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. And Pit Crew, I'll catch you later. Stay safe.